A common experience when scaling your roofing business, and this is almost a rite of passage, is you end up running multiple lead channels and one of them happens to be Facebook or Instagram meta ads. And when you're running meta ads, something that's very interesting is there's only 4 ways this could go for you, regardless of whether you're at within the 7 to 8 figure revenue spectrum. Number 1, you could get great leads with great volume and great quality, and then you just treat it like another lead channel and your sales team is able to close them consistently. The second outcome, which is pretty often, is you're getting leads consistently that are pretty decent quality and you're getting a good cost per appointment, maybe within the hundreds, and you're good, you're closing. Your sales team's closing at 25% and above on a 10 plus K average ticket. But over time, over a couple months, your ads seem to fail. And regardless of whether these are being ran by your in-house team or an agency that you've hired, the end outcome is the same. Cost per result rises, sales go down, morale goes down, and over time things don't work out. And oftentimes this happens because the ads that are being ran, they all look the same as everything else that's being out there in the first place. I give you a perfect example of this, which is offers. Like you're running direct ads, which is getting the homeowner to want to give you something in order to get like a roof inspection or like an estimate or getting to save thousands on their roof replacement. Third outcome, you got a bunch of leads, but none of them were high quality. And that all roots back to your messaging. The fourth outcome, you actually ran ads, you didn't get a lot of leads, but they might have been decent quality or they might not have been. Regardless of the situation, one thing remains. Copying an ad system based on something that you've seen or someone who told you that something would work, most of the times doesn't work. And what I mean by that is taking a competitor's ad or another roofing company's ad that you saw or a system and trying to copy it bar for bar without understanding what it is that actually made it work. And I give you a perfect example. This is your typical Facebook ad. And most of the times, a lot of roofing companies, what happens is their ads are being ran where it's cookie cutter or just copy and paste, where they think that they can just go into the Facebook ad library as an example and copy a system and launch it. And they'll get into one of the 4 buckets I mentioned before. They might work or might not, depending on your lead volume and your lead quality and your ultimate sales, which defines how successful you were. To land in the most successful bucket consistently and to stay there, you have to realize that the outcome here is what you're trying to copy. Okay, the outcome isn't really just the ad, right? Or the system you think that drove the sales, because otherwise, why would those people be like talking about it, saying how it works, or selling it? Or better yet, you stumbled across it yourself in the ad library and you saw like a system or an ad that you liked or didn't like, was still generating sales because it's been running for months. This is the product. This is the product of a team or system that resulted in the creation of that specific ad, landing page, pair of marketing asset. You have to realize that the system that went into the creation of this actual product is what you have to copy. In concept, it makes sense to copy these specific ads because if they've been running for a long time, might as well run them for yourself or try to create spin-offs of it. That makes sense. But when it comes to actually getting sustained results for a long period of time and being able to scale into it, understanding what it is that made that work in the first place, which is AKA having that system built around the actual creation of the assets, that is what enables you to scale these systems to 5-6 figure spends in your local market, irrespective of what city or metro area you're in America. So that begs the question, like, what do these systems look like for the roofing companies that my company, Roof Ignite, we're a marketing agency, and we've helped over 100 roofers add 7 figures in revenue in the past 2 years. So what does that look like for a roofing company with like a successful system? Well, there's a couple of things. The first thing starts with research. Chances are there's people in your market who have ran ads on Facebook before, and so you're able to see like what's been running for the longest time. And that most of the time is what you're going to define as like the most successful, because if it wasn't successful, why would it not be running? The other layer to this is conceptualizing the ads. Like there's different parts of the ad. There's the angle/offer. There is the creative format, and there's the funnel. And a big mistake that roofing companies make, or like the owners of roofing companies in this, established revenue range, is realize not understanding what actually makes these concepts work and not spending enough time just trying to understand it at least to the point where they can find the right person to go and build the system for them. So I'll give this to you right now. Angle/offer. This refers to when you're doing research on specific ads that are running. You might see like South Florida roofers or Detroit roofers or Metro Atlanta roofers, roofs, roofing, roof inspections, free estimates. You have a system that looks through all the ads about what is every single ad that's running right now, and you're able to see all the roofing companies that are running, say like Metro Detroit, 20 different companies running their ads right now. Out of the 20, 250 total ads. Out of the 250 ads, these are the specific ads that are running, and it's separated by first angle. What's the angle? Well, this is their specific stance on how it is that they're going about to get these appointments. So the first one I give an example of is price savings. I'll give a couple examples. So price savings being like, oh, you can save thousands on your roof by going with a local company, or pick a company that's going to be around for like decades down and get a roof that's actually going to outlive you, and thus you have peace of mind, saving thousands because you don't have to replace a roof twice because the most expensive roof is the one you replace 2 times, etc., etc., etc. There's another angle which is like direct offer, and these are ads that you might see which is like a home showcase program or claiming $1,000 off your new roof with like spring, or free gutters with your new roof. All these little things, they are different angles which they all seem the same, which is okay, it's a Facebook ad, but being able to separate it out and understand, okay, when I'm reading the ad, when I'm looking at what makes it successful, why is it running so long? Let's take those and then let's actually be able to conceptualize how can we make different angles around that to attack all the different pockets of my audience, because otherwise this specific ad that you try to copy or make spin-offs of, you're not understanding what made it work in the first place, which reaches it to a point where you're not able to recreate that success again and again and again. So the person that makes that system, sorry, I just gave it away, but the thing that makes the system is the person. So finding the right people to help you do this in the first place. That's what allows you to scale these ads to 7 figures of revenue per year, and if you are crafty and witty enough, per month. Definitely possible. Last example of angle/offer. It doesn't really have to be like an offer, but the angle of how you attack getting an appointment is with your message. You could say something basic, like maybe it's something specific to the season, or something that's specific to the time of the year. So whether that be Thanksgiving, Veterans Day, or storm that recently came by, you're making ads around that and being super specific. So these are seasonal and time specific. Each angle can only scale to its certain threshold, and each angle can produce a predictable cost per appointment if you've tested it and combined it with the system of testing it in the same kind of way. Now, creative format. What is the creative format? That is the actual creative itself, which is what is the image or the video that is paired with the specific ad. When your system is doing research on what actually works, you're gonna wanna see things like how long is the video, if it's a video, what's being said in the video, what's being shown in the video, and that's it, if it's a video. If it's a static ad, what's being shown in the ad in the background, in the foreground, what kind of text or offers being made, how are they grabbing attention, who's this catering to? So creative format, you're able to break that out into static and video, in which static, you could have different things of this nature, which is like organic images, which is like not seeming like an ad. Like if I just pointed my camera outside and showed you like my very nice home and showed you the roof, that's an organic image. A picture of a homeowner shaking hands with your team, those are organic. There's also things like AI generated ads, which could also look organic, right? But if you were to understand it and try to copy it, you might not know what actually resulted in it being created in the first place. So you're not able to do enough of it, which means you're not able to get the same amount of sales as the company that was successful. But if you have that system, then yes. So there's also AI generated. There's also like graphic ads that are super cheap to produce. Things like those like flashy sales with like the text. It looks like it was created in Canva or like an editing platform of sorts, but it does look semi-professional. And when it comes to videos, this could be things like talking head videos with the ads and offers. Same things with like a direct offer talking about price savings. You could have a talking head, you can have a testimonial, you can have a commercial that looks like a commercial, obvious commercial, a funny ad. And so, excuse my horrendous handwriting, but you're able to understand what it is that actually makes that successful. So having these concepts understanding the ones that are successful and then grouping it that way, you're able to like actually script your content properly and build a system that is able to create it. Or better yet, you have the person who builds the system for you. So then you get the product and then your outcome is more sales. All right, back to here. Let's talk about your funnel. Two types really. There's two ways you can go about this for the most part. If you're running a Facebook funnel, this is different if you're running LSA, Google, SEO, website opt-in, but this is most of the time on Facebook. There is lead forms and then there's landing pages. So understanding like what out of the competitors that were running, like what were they running? For the ones that were sorted by longest ran ads, how are they capturing information? Sometimes lead forms work in specific markets. Sometimes the goal is, okay, if it's difficult to get a homeowner to opt in, and for example, like a rural market in Texas, because the homeowners are a little bit more offline when it comes to like people being comfortable giving information, that's a way. Or they could be very easy to give out their information, in which you might want to even consider like a landing page for those people because they're higher intent. And when you call, you have a higher probability of converting them. So choosing the right funnel type, being able to say the right things on the funnel to match what it is that's being said inside of these ads, that's your research. You're seeing what other people, what other companies are doing in your area. It doesn't even have to be the same niche as you. It could also be siding, gutters, HVAC, decking, paving, hardscaping, tree removal, all these different areas, and being able to like conceptualize, okay, let me just apply that marketing strategy here and make it work. And the next step, of course, in the system is taking that research and being able to produce these said assets. So a lot of this is done with AI nowadays, and especially in my company, when I'm helping my 100+ client book with their marketing, we have it very systematized. And so the system is the thing that's most valuable because it makes things super efficient. But producing these same assets over here, the angle, the offer, the creative format, and the funnels, super fast because we know what makes them work. We see and we write down what is working and what's not. So we produce the assets with AI. We have a team in the background that actually builds these things out for us. And so we're able to hit the ground running and test things really quickly. And when we notice in specific markets things aren't working, we pull back. But let's talk specifically about the most important one of all of these, which is creative format. So if you were to do this for your own company, how would you do it? This is how I recommend doing it. Once you conceptualize, okay, these are the kind of ads I want to run, this is how much content I want to run, you have to understand how much creatives do I need to run per X amount of dollar spend per Z period. So if you plug it in, I need to produce 20 creatives for every $100 a day in a month period. So that means that if I'm spending $100 a day every month, I need to produce 20 creatives. So out of that creatives, how do you produce it? What are the kind of images that you're gonna launch with it? And you honestly have to test this. Every market, you can get away with different things. Being able to swap it out and test these different concepts, because some will work better to yield you a better cost per appointment, which, going back to my famous formula, sales is equal to appointments multiplied by close rate multiplied by your average ticket. But you already knew that. But having this system and being able to reverse engineer it is so powerful. So Tony Creatives, you pick that you want it to be half organic, 1/4 graphic, and then 1/4 you saw that it was crushing it, but there weren't a lot of these videos. But you can corner the market because they don't have a lot of videos, and you know that your market can respond really well to it, maybe because you know your customer really well. Testimonials or talking head ads, where you're up on the roof and you're exposing specific examples of where the company went wrong, the insurance company, the other roofer, doing storytelling, talking with a homeowner, interview style. So you run these different creatives, you have the system, you're like, okay, I need to produce this amount per week. Then I do that. If I want to scale my spend from 100 a day to, let's say, like 500 a day, so I can 5x my output and get maybe like from 15 appointments on that $100 per day in a month to 5x that, which is, I believe, as an example, like 75 appointments. So you'd literally 5x your sales. How do you maintain that cost per appointment? Well, it's having, like, how do you maintain that success that you might have had or that you might not have? It's like, it's testing more. It's having the right formats in the first place. It's having the person to be able to build this system for you, or understanding the skills so you can build it yourself. The last pillar is tracking. Actually being able to see like what worked, what didn't work. So that when it comes to spending more money, You're more confident because when you launch your new batch, you're able to your creative team is able to understand, okay, we need to pump out these creatives. They avoid the mistakes of what didn't work when you threw all these ads into the ad set and ran that campaign and spent actual dollars on it. So being able to be more precise and like, okay, tailoring these new sets towards that, what worked, that's great. But then also testing the 80% of what worked in that ad set. So let's say you 5x'd output, now you have 100 creatives you have to push out per month total. 80 of those should be proven test, of which not all of them will actually work. Those are things you think will work, again, based on what worked, and then trying to avoid less of what didn't work. And then 20% of what you should do is completely brand new tests. And so adopting it from this mindset, you realize that trying to copy the same person is not going to result in the outcome that you want because you don't have the actual ideation process to be able to test things that are outside the scope of what's already been tested. And that could be any of these things. So coming back to the drawing board, trying a different angle. So not trying this, but trying another offer, trying something that's seasonal or time specific, being funny with your ads, talking head, all these different concepts. Having a running tracker, and a lot of this can be enabled with AI really efficiently. There's a video right here that's gonna pop up of an example of me walking through AI systems that I've actually developed for my clients with examples, as well as what I've done for myself. But being able to track these things automatically so that you can spend more time on the actual sales, building the sales team, and being the visionary in your roofing company, that's what's really gonna be the highest leverage thing. As long as you have this AI enablement, which is as simple as just having the right data and being able to feed that data into your Claude or your ChatGPT or your Manus, whatever your preferred LLM of choice is. So it's able to analyze inside of your ad copy or inside of your creative what specifically worked. And I give you a perfect example, which is like vision. We could do this manually or we could do it automatically. So when you're looking at me inside of here right now, you see a guy holding an Apple Pencil with an iPad who's talking to you about roofing ads and marketing. What I see, because I'm really like self-aware about this, is I'm a guy wearing a black shirt. I'm a talking head, right? And in the background right now, you can see this is like a basic office with like a table, and you can see a window outside with some trees, and it looks like the summer. I'm a little bit warm and yellow skinned, as well as you can see like a hockey helmet, an American duck, and a Rolex, right? So we could write all these things down about everything that we've tested, and then we can say, okay, like add 1 through 100. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like this is what worked about it, this is what it had, and then describe it, and then why we think it worked and why we didn't think it worked. Or we could just have an AI system, like an API of like Gemini of sorts, describe these things, and then be able to advise, and where we're able to like test new creatives. We're like, okay, this is how we can actually put into words what we have to go out and get. And then it's as simple as like, how do we get these things? Well, we need a creative production team, we need a videographer, or we need to incentivize our sales reps to get stuff for us, or we need a team or an AI system to be able to create these new graphics for us on autopilot. So maybe like a tool or software. We need to ask X amount of homeowners, do we have permission to get in front of you? Or we need to tell our sales reps, out of every 10 roofs, you have to film at least 1 video on your inspections per week, and that needs to be added to a Google Drive. And so that all feeds into your system of the complete, this is what actually makes up the system, and I'm the person telling it to you right now. So I hope you found this helpful. This should describe what worked about your system and then where it might have failed. You might become more self-aware about specifically what point in the process you might have failed, whether that be the ideation, your messaging maybe was off, you did something that was too similar to what other people in your market had because your market's a little bit more sophisticated, or maybe you had something that was working, but quality tapered off and your volume tapered off over time, your costs rose as a result of you not being able to attack ad fatigue and ideate fast enough and see what was working and do more of it, and also test additionals alongside that. So my team at Roof Ignite, we help with this very, very well. You can actually book a call if you click on the link in the description below, where there's no pressure, no obligation, but we're gonna walk through exactly like going through your company's numbers. What about your marketing systems, if you tried, had worked, if you were to try with our system, which we give you a predictable cost per appointment in your market, how would we plug in your numbers to that? So you bring your data to the call, we do a complete dive in, and we break down and give you like a specific strategy for if you could execute that with your existing team, or you wanted to bring us on and actually take care of all this for you so your reps can start running appointments. That is an option. So I'm gonna end this video off on a good note. I'll see you in the next one.